Well, it appears that Jaron Boots Ennis may in fact need to move up in weight in order to get a name opponent. In this video, I'm gonna break down everything what Jaron Ennis had to say, and of course what I got to say about the situation. So he's preparing for an upcoming fight, not really a fight that anybody requested or wanted to see, but here we are. He has to fight his mandatory Karen Chukadasian, a guy he beat on Gervonta Davis's undercard just last year in 2023. Now, regarding the move up, Jaron Ennis says, quote, "Vacating the belt wasn't a thought on my mind. I was just staying in the gym, staying focused and doing what I needed to do to get better. I wasn't worried about what was going on in the outside. I let my team handle all of that. I want to stay busy, collect the rest of these belts. If they are playing around, maybe we'll be at 154 pounds. Maybe not, we'll see. I've been chasing everybody. I've been chasing Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., Keith Thurman. I've been chasing all of these guys. Ask Crawford, ask them. The weight is popping right now at 154, everybody up there. Hopefully you might see me up there. You never know. They are all great fighters, but I really can't pick who's the best. Hopefully these guys will step up and sign on the dotted line. These are the fights that everybody wants to see." So, where do I begin? For starters, your boy Ego, aka Ego Stradamus, definitely strikes again. When Jaron Ennis, it was first announced that he was joining with Eddie Hearn in Rematch Room, I had immediate questions, which I used my voice, my channel, to talk about these things. The videos are still up. And my immediate concern was, you're going to probably get overpaid, which is what Eddie Hearn probably had to do to get you away from Espinoza and Showtime. That's cool for your pocketbook, but what about your career legacy, right? Answering those questions, things that will ultimately push you over and catapult you to the superstardom, because I do view Jaron Boots Ennis as one of the most talented up-and-coming fighters. He just needs names to kind of prove where he stands, just like anybody else, right? And these are my questions back then and now, same thing. These are my questions. You're about to be, next week, you have your fight with Chukadasian, a rematch nobody really wants, right? And you're about to be in your second fight with Eddie Hearn in Rematch Room, and I don't really see any direction. I don't see Jaron Ennis getting really any closer than when he was on Showtime to the major step-up fights, right? People have lied and made up their own rumors. Like one of them was like, oh, Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. in February, right? This is a fight that really is gonna happen. But then I got a video coming out soon. Virgil Ortiz's manager says they're not eyeing anyone particularly. They'll fight whoever, but so far nothing's been sent to them regarding Jaron Ennis or anybody else. So that was cap. And then, like I said, now you have Jaron Ennis, who he and his team, don't get mad at me, this is what they said. They said they wanted to unify, become undisputed at welterweight. Now he's talking about moving up to 154. The weight class is popping. Everybody's up there. Hopefully one of these guys will fight. Again, every fighter who is talented and dangerous usually has to go through this. Keith Thurman went through it. Errol Spence went through this. Crawford says he went through it, where you're an immense danger. You got to get your name and your brand up, go through the appropriate rankings and whatnot in order to get your opportunity for the bigwigs to fight you, the people who are further along, the people who are champions. This doesn't really sound like a great game plan. And to be honest, we'll see how it plays out. But I don't see anything that indicates that we're any steps closer to a big fight for Jaron Boots Ennis, which should be scary. And this is what I had questions about initially, right? Eddie Hearn is a master manipulator at using the public doing interviews and pointing the fingers and doing the whole blame game thing. Like, oh yeah, when he had Demetrius Andrade, we want Charlo to fight Andrade, right? But then the fight doesn't happen. No one cares. No one cares about what you want. No one cares about what you hope. In America, at least. In America, what we do care about is what you can execute, what you can materialize and, make come into fruition. And so far, Eddie Hearn, he's talking a good game about fights he wants to make, but none of these fights are happening. Oh, I want Jaron Ennis Boots to fight Terrence Crawford. We don't sound like we're anywhere closer to that fight happening. Virgil Ortiz, we don't seem, from what I'm hearing, I don't really see any indications like, oh, they're in deep negotiations or anything like that. So not really any closer to Crawford, which would be a good fight. Not really any closer to Virgil Ortiz, which would be a good fight. And you have another Eddie Hearn guy in Conor Benn. That would also be a good fight. So why is Jaron Ennis fighting Chukadasian 2 and then fighting against David Avanesian, right? So this would have to worry you. A lot of people are like, oh, but Jaron Ennis will be active. Who cares about activity when it's all similar competition that Jaron Ennis is going to be heavily favored to beat? His most upcoming opponent is someone he already did beat. You know what I mean? It's like the same magic trick over and over. Yes, he's good, but to get over to the next level, you got to make something shake, And we're in an era with social media and stuff like that. It's no longer just good enough to just, oh, we chased Crawford and we couldn't get him. Okay, let's say that's one fish in the sea. There's other good fights for him. I just named some of them, right? So you can't get it rocking with Brian Norman. You can't find a way to make that happen. Get him what he wants, pay what he wants. You can't do unification with PBC fighters, Stanionis, Mario Barrios. You have fighters on the zone like Conor Benn, Virgil Ortiz. It's not just about Crawford only. There are still some other very good fights. The winner of Madrimov, Boachuk, who's fighting on the Fury Usyk 2 undercard. You dig? There's other great fights. Whether it means he has to flex and, go up to 154 or whatever, he needs fights because he's always going to be, someone who's regarded as a great fighter, but you're not really maturing your career-wise. You're just getting almost like easy paychecks at this point, right? So it is what it is, but this sounds like almost like a mishap or a mistake. Eddie Hearn promised you a good game. And then the other thing that's scary is Jaron Ennis, he did an interview with Ariel Helwani, and he's saying like Eddie Hearn has a good mouthpiece. But the good mouthpiece is not giving you the legacy fights and the resume fights that you need to cross over. And you shouldn't want your promoter to do all the talking. Not in 2024, about to be 2025. I think you have to have some level of spark, charisma, and let people know about you. Eddie Hearn is not a fighter, right? He's the promoter. And here in America, we don't need to hear or overly hear from a British promoter who's not lacing him up and what his opinions are rather than the actual fighter. People want to know about Jaron Ennis, and people want to see it. People want to see the skills. They want to see him match with somebody that is remotely good. I mean, to be honest, even a Blair the Flair Cobbs fight, to me, that would be bigger than Karen Chukadasian, right? Because at least Blair the Flair, he's with Don King, and they're both from Philly, and he's going to trash talk. They've sparred before. So that would still, at least, it's not like the end-all be-all fight, but he's coming off a good win with Adrian Broner, and that would be at least a more entertaining fight. Right now, I don't even see anyone talking about Jaron Ennis and Karen Chukadasian, and they're about to fight basically in a week. So that's a problem for you. Like, okay, it's not just about getting the unification fights. There's still like other fights that would, I guess, get the public's interest. Like I said, a Blair Cobbs, Conor Benn. These are all fights, in my opinion, that would be received at least a bit better in terms of the entertainment. You know, you had Tank Davis, he fought Rolly. Was Rolly regarded as a Shakur Stevenson? No, but it still was a fun fight, and it broke records because they put together an interesting and entertaining product, good press conferences, great buildup. Tank pushed him off the stage at the weigh-in, and then the rest is history. They sold out the Barclay and set a record. So I would like to just see more progression from Jaron Ennis, and that might mean he needs to move up in weight if they can't get nothing done for him. It's no longer good enough to just point the finger and say, oh, Brian Norman. Top Rank doesn't owe anything to Eddie Hearn. Brian Norman is their product. He's injured right now anyway, right? So I don't know. I can't say for a fact that if he was fighting Jaron Ennis, that would have happened, but he ended up getting injured in training, so that's a possibility. And again, Top Rank owes nothing to Eddie Hearn or his stable to make something happen. You got to appease the fighter, whether that means spend a little bit more money. I feel like DAZN has talked for many years about having all this cheddar, either turkey or $1 billion war chest, and Lynn Blavnik. You have all this money, then use it to get Jaron Ennis a great fight. I think that's what the people truly want to see.